A Christian presses Muhammad Hijab and his friend on the justification of Islam. And in this video, you will see how Muhammad Hijab and his friend reacts to the question that this Christian have to ask. But before we get started, make sure you hit that like button so this video can go out into the algorithm to people just like you, and it can help this channel grow. So now let's take it over to the live scene so we can get my reaction. So this is Big John Steele. This is his YouTube page, and he shows the recording of this Q&A. He came over to Muhammad Hijab page and he saw that they was live, and he was able to get a recording of the questions and the interaction that they had. So this is really good, man. Y'all will see how they act to the question that he is proposing to them.
Hit him, it's skipping again. Hit the jukebox, it's skipping again. So, I don't know. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to keep waiting, or do you want to go do something else?
And it's a dhikr of Tawheed, and it's no more poignant that we should be making a dhikr of Tawheed on a stream where I'm sure many people will be coming to challenge it, you know? But La ilaha illallah, there is no God worthy of worship except for Allah. There is no God worthy of worship except for Allah. La sharika, there's no associates with him. You know, there's no partners with him.
Anyways, after sitting there and waiting for what seemed like forever and just listening to him yap and yap and yap, we also got the privilege of just listening to him build himself up about how much better they were than God Logic, because they were raising money for charity where God Logic raised money for himself. So it's just a lot of, well, this.
And do you know what's most shocking about this? Avery, that charlatan, he raised $6,000 to allow him to win a court case so that a video which is already online can be put on his channel. We raised half that amount approximately for the poor people of Lebanon, including.
Who cares?
This is a shame.
Oh, look at this. This all this is look at me. Everyone look at me. I'm such a good guy. I'm such a good guy, guys. I'm so much better than the other guy. And also, once again, I got to show the whole world.
Bro, the jealousy is just insane. Like, it's just so insane, bro. Like, they haven't even, I don't even think they ever even thought about raising money until like now. Like, that is crazy. It's crazy. Just because they see God Logic and his community raising money, now they want to raise money. Come on, bro.
That every time I deal with Islamic apologetics, that I'm actually a prophet of God. I don't think I'm about to cook. I'm just going to go up and ask some questions, man. I'm just going to go up and ask some questions, because look what it says. It says it's a live Q&A, questions and answers. So I'm going to go ask some questions. And you know what's going to happen? What about the Trinity? And I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to let it happen. Because what does it say? It's a live Q&A. Non-Muslims only.
That studying nature, and if you're on an island, that we can somehow come to the concept of the Trinity. Give me a justification for that.
You're running. I told everybody before I started this live, I said, I guarantee you I'm going to ask this question and they're going to say, what about the Trinity? Now, as you're going to see as we engage in this debate, he doesn't actually allow me much opportunity to speak or clarify my position. So as we're going through this, we're going to stop here and there, and I'm going to explain some things and what's actually happening in the conversation, but I'm not going to remove anything. We're going to post the full debate as we move forward. So let's get.
It's funny how we know exactly what they're going to say before they even say anything. Like, that's hilarious, bro. Like, we literally know exactly what they are going to say. They all say the same thing. Same thing.
Get into it.
How are you doing, John?
I'm good, guys. So just heads up, I only got like 10 minutes before I have to go to work. So I don't know if we'll be able to dive into everything. This is Q&A, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I can see you got a big cross there, so I'm assuming you're on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I've actually wanted to talk to you for a while, but I'm just never around when you guys go live. So I'm actually feeling blessed right now.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is that we gotta literally record in such a weird way when it come down to, interacting with these guys, because they will try to copyright strike you. So he like you see he got to show like the whole I think this Skype or some video chat thing. Um, but he had to use that to prove that on his side that he is live recording this, that they both are in like this chat, so he won't get copyright strike. Like, it's crazy. We got to take extra precaution because these guys does such a cowardless thing or cowardly thing. Um, but yeah, that's just crazy.
Brilliant, brilliant. So just on that, we are, just to let you know, as Muslims, we are fundraising for Lebanon to help Muslims and Christians. So in that vein, I want you to understand that this stream is not our usual sort of thing, but either way, go fire away with your question.
What do you mean by not usual sort of thing?
As in, it's a bit of a special event. We're actually fundraising. It's the holiest day of the year.
Okay.
And we're fundraising for a calamity that's hit Muslims and Christians.
What's like
in that context?
What's like the partner organization you guys are connected with for like the fundraising?
Yeah.
No, what is it? Like the organization?
It's
Mercy to Humanity.
Yeah.
Mercy to Humanity?
The idea is that it's there as a mercy, whether you're a Muslim, you're Christian, you're Jew, you're atheist, Druze, whatever.
You can search it online. I mean, we've got it on the description.
Yeah, it's in the description there.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, fire away with your question.
We'll take a look at it.
10 minutes.
Yes.
I actually just read this thing where someone had this like fake nonprofit thing, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's fake. I'm just saying, I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm not trying to like downplay it all the way, but just because how dishonest they are, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. Somebody said in the chat over there, give us money. So, hey, y'all come in the chat, give us money. Cause that's what it's that's what it looked like, man. That's what it looked like.
So quick, just short story about me. I've had hundreds of conversations with hundreds of Muslims. There's always a question that I ask that I don't think I ever get sufficiently answered. And it's just simply, what is the justification to say Islam is true? Usually when I ask that question, I get what Islam is and what you guys believe and why it's appealing, but not actually the justification why we would say that it is true. And so I figure, hey, why not ask the biggest Muslim that's on YouTube? What is the justification? Why would we say that is true? So what you're going to notice right away is that I said I usually ask people for justifications, but instead of giving me one, they just give me what they believe. And I actually think he does the same thing here. But before we get into that, I want to talk about what exactly is a justification. So for somebody to claim that something is really true, they need a justified true belief. This relies on three components of knowledge. There's belief, knowledge, and justification. These three components lead you into a justified true belief. We can say that S knows P if and only if, 1, it is true that P, 2, S believes P, and 3, S is justified in believing in P. When we're talking about belief, it's the fact that a person can't know something without first believing it to be true. Truth is, if a person knows something, then it must be true. If a belief is false, it cannot be true, and therefore it cannot be known. And then the most important part here is going to be the justification. It's not simply enough to believe something is true. There must be a justification through sufficient evidence. And ultimately, what I'm asking him is for that justification. And I don't think I get it.
All right, I'll have a quick crack at this, and then we'll let Hijab speak about this. For anything to be justified, there has to be a level of reasoning. There has to be a level of logic behind it. There has to be some form of argumentation. Whenever I speak to Christians in particular, I would say to come over to Islam, you have to first look at Islam's theology. Islam's theology is something very clear on the unity of God. We believe that there's only one God. We believe that that one God is the only one.
See, he already hitting it with we believe, we believe, we believe. You see that?
Worthy of worship, and we believe that that one God is nothing like the creation. So when it comes to the belief in God, Islam makes a lot of sense. Now, you could be born on an island and never hear of Islam and Christianity, yet you can come to the fundamentals about the Islamic concept of God, even without interacting with the Muslim people.
Can I pause?
Say that. So
can I pause you there?
You cannot say that when it comes to Christianity, because you're Christian, I'm giving you an answer in your context. You cannot say that about the Christianity. There's nothing that you can discern from studying nature that will make you think that this DNA molecule is pointing out a triune God, but it can point out that there is one true God. So in a nutshell, that's the simple reason why I believe Islam is justified over Christianity.
Okay, but that's a what? That's what you believe, not why you believe it. So that's like, hey, I believe these things. It seems true to me, but I'm asking for like a justification, how you came to those conclusions on why it's true.
Exactly. Because he just said one God. Like, not everyone believes like in one God. For instance, for example, you got the Hindus who believe in multiple gods. You got other like cults and I guess like religions that believe in multiple gods and stuff. So you can't really say that. Like, people can come up with their own concept of God. What is, like, why? He's asking why. Not what, but why. And not what you believe, but like why.
Right. So did you hear the point when I said that you could be on an island and you could come to the idea of the basic concepts of God in Islam without interacting with Islam?
Yeah, how do you know that?
Do you remember? Sorry?
How do you know that?
Okay, good. So you're on an island, and on this island,
I hope I wasn't muted, by the way, because I just got caught up in a video. I don't know if I unmuted myself or not, but yeah, I was basically saying he didn't go over why. He just said, like, what?
Look at all of the things around you. Based upon the fact that these things are limited, these things are dependent, these things are contingent, you're going to make some sort of an inference for a first cause. Now, when it comes to that first cause, you're going to start thinking, okay, this first cause, is it the case that this cause is intelligent? Is it the case that this cause is conscious? Is it the case that this cause is knowing? Is it the case that this cause is eternal? And you could do a conceptual analysis and come up with the idea, yes. And then if you look a bit further, you think about,
so just for the sake of time, I'm aware of the contingency argument. Like, I know what the contingency argument is. I know where that leads.
Yeah,
but that doesn't lead us to Islam. That just leads us to like a necessary being, something that isn't contingent, it's just necessary to the state of the universe.
You stopped me mid-flow. I was just about to point out the second concept in God, about God, which is unique to Islam, which is not true in Christianity, which is when you come to the idea of one independent being, one independent God, Islam is the only religion that says it's only you and that God. You worship that God directly. You do not go to that God through a dead person.
Why do I have to worship it?
Through an idol, through nature, or through anything else. And that is a logical inference you can arrive at without interacting with Islam. And the third aspect is that God is nothing like his creation, which is a logical deduction based upon the contingency argument. And in fact, anybody with some introspection will realize.
But there's a logical leap that you did there. You got to necessary being simply by observing the trees. And even if I grant that we get to like a necessary being, I don't know how we get from necessary to being to we worship this necessary being, and we do it the Islamic way. So this ends up being the crux of the entire argument. We get stuck on this contingency point, never actually get to Islam. His whole point is that if we could simply just look at the world around us, we can conclude by simply going backwards using, contingency things, that eventually we have to get to an argument. So the contingency argument is this: if you look at something, you could see that as contingent, that it could be another way, then you need some sort of explanation on why it is the way that it is. You can't have ad infinitum going back of contingent things. You need some sort of necessary thing to begin. I don't really want to do a whole video on the contingency argument right now. That's not the point. So I could grant this to him. I could say, yeah, okay, contingency argument, we get to necessary being, but there's logical leaps that he's making. He's saying, yep, necessary being, one God worthy of worship. There's a big problem with that. The problem is a necessary being doesn't always entail a mind. He hasn't yet to make an argument for that. It also doesn't entail that that mind gives a rat's butt about us or anything that we're doing. He also has to give an argument for that. And he also doesn't argue how we even get remotely close to the idea of Islam from that, because again, we can have this singular one being that is a God with a mind. We can grant all of that, and we could still have things like Unitarian Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism. You could pick many different religions that have this concept of one God and still come to that conclusion.
Exactly. See, I even said just multiple gods, but then even just one God, like there's so many other religions when it come down to like one God. Even us as Christian, we believe in one God, but we believe in the whole Trinity. So, which one are you picking? Like, are you gonna believe in be a Trinitarian or a Unitarian? Like, how you come down to the justification of of Christianity, which is the Trinity.
Through his version of the contingency argument, which again was not exhaustive. It just gets you to a necessary being. And so this is something that I keep pressing him on. How do you get to the point of contingency to Islam?
Do you agree with me that you can arrive at the concept of one God using the contingency argument?
I think you can get to a necessary being, but then you have to get into like the semantics of what that being means and why you come to those conclusions.
It's not semantics. It's conceptual.
Semantics is just how we define terms. So like when we're talking about being, what do we mean by being? I do think there has to be a necessary being. We can make observations in this world. If you hold specifically to like a theory of time, now you could actually throw that out if you hold to like a B theory of time.
Look, this is a diversion. I think you're not understanding my point. Did you hear me say conceptual analysis of the first cause? Did you explain that we can do an analysis of what the nature of the first cause is?
I think we can get to a necessary being. I don't know how we get to this Islamic version of worship, though. Yeah, I feel like there's a big leap of logic there.
Yeah, you didn't answer my question. My question was, did you hear me? I think the fourth time I'm mentioning it now. We can do a conceptual analysis about the nature of that cause.
Okay, so I felt like I answered that, but maybe I'm misunderstanding. I'm misunderstanding the question. So if you'd be so kind to rephrase it for me.
It's that you're trying to misunderstand a very clear point. You're not actually misunderstanding. You're understanding it really well, but you're diverting.
I want you to pay attention to that. That's the first slip that he does. Instead of addressing the argument, he's now starting to address me, and it doesn't stop. Pay attention.
Did I not say that we can now do a conceptual analysis of the nature of this first cause? Did I not say it for the sixth time now?
You said those words. Sure.
Right. Yeah. And so then I started explaining how we can do a conceptual analysis of that cause. For example, we can use Aristotle's idea of the principle of proportionate causation.
Well, hold on. You say we're stuck on an island.
Now you come up with another theory. Like, what? Look at Muhammad Hijab. He just over there. He look like he's like kind of like pouting, like he's sad, like he's going through something. Somebody said in the comment, Hijab looks depressed. Like, bro looks sad. Like, bro is going through it.
You're changing the analogy.
Do you agree with me? You can come up with the idea of PPC without Aristotle, without learning Greek philosophy. It's a basic idea.
Yeah. Any human who sits and thinks long enough can come up with conceptual ideas in philosophy. Sure.
Okay, so what's your point if it's on an island?
Yeah, but I just don't understand how we're getting from a contingency. Like I said, I'm short on time. I'm aware of the contingency argument. How do we get to necessary being to Islamic religion?
Okay, let me tell you of the dilemma that you're in right now. You've jumped onto the live stream. You've put a time limit. I'm trying to give you an answer to the very question you've asked. Without actually understanding my answer, you're already saying that you don't understand the answer. So I don't understand what you're trying to achieve in this live stream.
So contingency argument gets us to a necessary being. Are we on the same page?
Right.
Okay, so we have a necessary being. Can we talk about the semantics of what that being is and how you come to those conclusions?
And was I not trying to do that?
I don't know. Were you?
No, I'm just going to ask you this directly. Was I not trying to explain to you the nature of the first cause?
I think there is a leap of logic that you did. Like I said, you had a necessary being, and then the leap of logic came and says that we have to worship this being, in which I jumped in and I said, how do you come to this conclusion?
There was
exactly. He's over here leaping over to this logic, like we're still trying to figure out why. Like, why? You saying what? But we're trying to figure out why.
No leap, because once you asked the question, I started explaining to you why. Now, you seem to have a problem with the idea of worshiping God alone. That seems to be a big problem for you, which is surprising that you're a Christian, because I thought that is a pretty fundamental Christian belief.
This is just poisoning the well.
That's very surprising.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. You have a problem with worshiping God alone. Instead of actually addressing the argument or having the conversation or showing me how my objection is like out of place, he's attacking the character. He's saying, hey, you specifically got an issue with worshiping God alone. Obviously, this is the conclusion. The issue isn't in my argumentation, it's within you, which is going to lead into the next point of his so-called argument. He's going to try to rest on my presuppositions, my justifications for why I believe what I believe. He's going to say, hey, we can agree on this. So if we can agree on this, the rest should just follow. Except there is a big problem with that. So let's keep watching.
Sorry?
This is just poisoning the well.
No, poisoning the well is to jump on a live stream and say, I've only got 10 minutes and ask a question. And then before that question's answered, to interrupt and divert the answer. That's poisoning the well.
No, that's not poisoning the well.
Can we agree on some fundamental facts?
Sure. What are we agreeing on? Let's find common ground. What are we agreeing?
Okay, fine. Firstly, you came on the stream about 5 minutes ago. You said you had 10 minutes. So I'm assuming you have 5 minutes left?
Well, I got about 5 to 10 roughly, yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Can we just agree on something very simple, which is this? Do you believe that God is the only one worthy of worship?
Yeah, this is completely okay. Let's pretend I'm an atheist. Where do we go from here? Because you're resting on my presuppositions there. If you're going to ask me that question, if you're asking me that question, you're resting on presuppositions.
You're clearly.
Let me explain my objection. Let me explain my objection.
No, okay,
if you're asking
what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great argument right there. A great question to ask. Let's look at it from an atheist, because you said when you're on a island, you come down to a conclusion. So let's go from there. Why, come on, he's like, you're Christian. Like, no, let's start off from someone who don't believe. How? Why?
Let me just tell you, Big John Steele.
Yeah.
You're a mid-level YouTuber. You're
poisoning the well.
Content for your channel, right?
Poisoning the well.
Atheist, saved by Jesus. You've made it.
Oh, so you do know me?
I can see.
Well, not that mid-level if you know who I am.
The worst way you can introduce yourself to a new audience is by coming up and making flat-footed statements and then getting fact-checked on them.
Yeah, so can I explain what my objection is? Can I explain my objection?
This is not the best way to enter into the arena. So can we agree on a common ground before we continue?
Yeah, can I explain my objection?
Well, no, I think it's better, since you have a time limit, that we just agree on a common ground.
Okay, so what are the common grounds you want to agree on?
Okay, so here's the first point I want to agree on. Any belief that a Muslim or a Christian or anybody else is going to make an argument for should be based upon logic. Do you agree with that?
That's the justification, right? We have knowledge, belief, and justifications. We're looking for justification.
Right. The second point is, to speed this conversation up, there's certain things we both are claiming to believe, so we should just outright put our cards on the table. Okay? For example, from my perspective, only God is worthy of worship. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, the problem with that is you're relying on my presuppositions to make your argument. So the reason I...
Exactly. You can't... That's not what we're trying to do here. We gotta think, okay, what if I wasn't a believer? Make your justification on why Islam is true. That's what we're trying to get to, but he's trying to attack the fact that he's a Christian. Like, he think he's slick.
Come to the conclusion that only God is worthy to worship is because of the historical data of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So my presupposition is not going to help your argument.
Logic has gone out the window. As soon as you say statements like that, it's gone out the window.
So first of all, can we talk about the fact that he just started poisoning the well, calling it mid-tier, talking down about my channel, but then seemed to know a lot about my channel. It's really weird for a guy who's not known. He knew a lot about me. But let's talk about what I'm talking about here.
He low-key tried to throw in a low blow there, man. Boy, I tell you what, That's crazy.
Justification. He's trying to rest on my presupposition that we both agree that God alone is worthy of worship. Now, it is true that I believe that. The problem is he cannot come to that conclusion based off my justification, because my justification doesn't entail Islam. My justification for believing that God alone is worthy of worship is because of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's why I believe what I believe. When I look at things like the historic reportage model,
Therefore, he can't. Therefore, he can't make an argument by using his justification. We got to come on a common ground and take out the fact of him being a Christian, because he's trying to understand here. Like, if I'm atheist, what is the justification of Islam being true? Like, that's what we try to come down to. Why is it that Islam is true? Tell me why.
and I could say that I trust in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and Acts. I say when we look at those, there's enough data to say that Jesus Christ actually existed. He performed miracles, that he was God incarnate, that he died on the cross, and he resurrected. And because of that, I say God alone is worthy of worship. If he rests on my presupposition, that entails Christianity, not Islam. That would actually debunk Islam. So he's trying to escape the burden that he has to actually justify his religion, hoping to just rest on my presupposition, which is just terrible argumentation and a terrible justification for your own religion. It just doesn't.
That's really good, because that like shows me that all they do is attack Christianity. They just attack Christianity to try to make their justification that Islam is true by attacking Christianity. He can't do it without attacking Christianity. He can't. He just can't.
It doesn't work.
You're saying your idea.
What did I say that's illogical? Yeah, go ahead.
What's the first statement? The first statement was whatever we are going to argue for today should be based upon logic.
Yes.
As soon as you start talking about things like the resurrection of Jesus, like your reference to the Bible or whatever it is, all of these things are illogical. You have
yeah, that's a red herring, right? I'm saying that's my justification. I could substantiate my justification, but that's not the conversation here. What I'm saying is you can't rely on my presupposition for your argument, because my presupposition does not entail Islam. It entails Christianity.
I never said I'm relying on your presupposition.
You are.
I said there is something.
Clearly is. He clearly is. He did it at the very beginning. Wow. This man here, I was about to say he can't be this dumb. Then somebody said in chat, he can't be this dumb.
We both believe in, which is that God is the only one worthy of worship.
Right, but we come to those conclusions for different reasons. So therefore, you can't use my justification as your justification.
I never said I will, because I don't believe in the Bible.
Right. So then you have to substantiate your argument first on why God alone is worthy of worship from your perspective, not from mine.
So why don't we agree about this? If it's the case that me and you both agree, for whatever reasons, that God is the only one worthy of worship, from my perspective,
But why do you believe that?
Logic. Okay, 1 second. Reason and logic, I can use the Quran, you can use the Bible, whatever it is. Now, can we clearly make a link between the belief in God being the only one worthy of worship and whether Islam lives up to that? Or
Why? But again, how are we coming to the conclusion that Allah is the only one worthy of worship? Where do you get this leap of logic? This is what I'm saying. I don't think Islam I don't think Islam standing alone has a justification for its religion. You rely on the presuppositions of Christianity, and then you say to Christians, okay, we agree on this. Let me explain why your real worldview doesn't make sense and mine does make more sense. So I need a justification how you get from a necessary being.
Let me explain to
that part. Stop leaning on the justification of Christianity to make your claims for your justification of why Islam is true. That is so good. That is a really good argument, because they always use Christianity. Stop using Christianity. Tell me why Islam is true without using the justification of Christianity. Tell me.
Islam? And that's a question I ask many Muslims And I rarely actually get a good answer to it. A lot of Muslims, when they come up and they want to have a conversation or try to convince you of their religion, they always start with, well, hey, we already believe the same thing, don't we? Like, we're not that different, are we? And that's just rhetoric and relying on one's emotion and their own intuition. And it's not good argumentation. Before anybody takes anybody's truth claim, you need to figure out why they believe it in the first place. What's the reasons that they believed it to be true? A lot of Muslims, when I talk to them, they just say, well, the Trinity didn't make any sense to me, so therefore I went to Islam. I just want everybody to know it is not the case that Christianity false, therefore Islam is true.
We have many people who convert.
It's so true. And that's why a lot of people do convert over to Islam, because they don't understand the Trinity. So they'd be like, oh, well, it's because I don't understand the Trinity. That's not a good logic. It's not a good logic at all. Like, what? Like, that is crazy.
To Islam, before they convert to Islam, they don't say, I convert to Islam because Islam says you only worship God alone, and that's what the Quran says.
I've talked to many Muslims who've said
they
that.
actually make the argument, like I did in terms of the island, that the idea that you should worship God alone is an independent conclusion you can come to without knowing Islam. It's something very simple. If God is the one, okay, I'll tell you exactly how. I've told you this multiple times.
Well, you get to necessary being, but you don't get to worthy of worship.
You've done it again. John, you've done it again. And I told you this is not great entry, and it's not going to be a great video for your channel.
Okay.
So here's what you need to keep in mind.
I mean, Hijab's just going to strike it anyways.
Look, you can make these little swiping.
Heck nah. I want to know, do Hijab say something?
Comments, but you've actually shown your cards already. So you've not only failed in terms of entering this video and making a good point, you've actually also shown us that that was your intention from the very beginning. And in fact, if I turned up on your stream, the first thing I would say is, I'm a YouTuber. I'm going to be coming here to
you can't tell that I'm a YouTuber by my microphone and headset and lights.
So I can basically use the content on my channel. And if I was to do such a thing, which is
notice how he's not answering. Got everybody watching on his channel. Notice how he's not answering my questions, but instead attacking my character. Notice that.
Since you've asked multiple times and you want to know the answer, and every time I try and give you the answer, you interrupt me. So I'm just going to speak regardless whether you interrupt me or not. Here's the point. God is the one who is the sole cause of all of reality. He is the first cause. He is the necessary being. By God being the cause of every single thing that we have in this life, it means that every single thing we have in this life, we should only praise and thank and glorify God alone for giving us those things, because it makes absolutely no sense to thank the tree, to thank a Catholic saint, or to thank the supposed Son of God, or all of these other intermediaries between us and God. The most logical conclusion is to worship the one who is the first cause, the only cause, and the one.
Notice how he used Christianity again. He can't do it without using Christianity.
Who is behind the entire cosmos. Islam, when it comes to, and I'm sure you've read the Quran repeatedly makes an argument, and the argument is using God's lordship to argue for God's worship. Now, if you knew anything, and I'm sure you would, because if you're a Christian YouTuber, you must know this. Islam's argument has always been that God's lordship leads necessarily to God's worship. And God's worship is the very purpose of life. And this is a message
they keep talking so they can try to think of something.
I'm very surprised you don't know this.
Okay, great. You keep screaming logic. This is the only way we can get to this logical conclusion. Can you give me the deduction that leads to the conclusion that we have a necessary being, therefore Islam?
I never made that argument.
You kept screaming, this is the only logical conclusion. Did you not? Did you not use the word logic?
Yes.
I was talking about the aspect of Islam, which is to do with worshiping God. And like I mentioned to you, this is something that's known prior to Islam. Now, if someone said to me, why is Islam true? I would make arguments, including the preservation of the Quran, including the predictions in the Quran, the predictions of from the life of the
Why
Prophet.
Didn't you go there? What? If somebody was asking me, how do you know Islam is true? I would have used all these other argumentations. My question would then be, What do you think I meant when I said I want a justification that Islam is true? He's trying to escape the conversation. It's almost like he just conceded that he doesn't have an argument here, that this argument does not entail Islam.
Sociological.
Very true. Very true. Now, I wanted to finish the whole video, but I'm going to leave it there because I got something to do. But man, see, this is what happened. They have to depend on Christianity in order to try to make a justification that Islam is true. They can't do it without even talking down on Christianity or using Christianity at all. They have to use Christianity for their justification to say why Islam is true. And that's the problem with Islam. That's the problem with you Muslims. So man, this was like a really good video. I wish I could finish it with y'all, but I'm gonna leave the rest so y'all can watch the rest of it on John Steele page, because John Steele has a amazing page for all you Christian out there. This is a channel where we look at things from a Christian lens and we give our perspective on it. We give our reaction on it. So with that being said, man, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Subscribe if you enjoy Christian content. And man, I just hope y'all have a blessed day. I'm out.